Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to today's edition of Black Health Trust. We're so happy that you joined with us this afternoon. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to our founder, Dr. Randall Maxey.
Good afternoon, Dr. Barbara Davis Stevens, Dr. Ivan Walks, Dr. Jocelyn Hines, and Dr. Lawson and Simon. We have an interesting discussion today. We're going to be a bit basic, but also practical. I did go to church today, Dr. Walks. I sat on the second row. But one of the things that the pastor or the bishop said is that we need to take accountability. I know that we think the current U.S. administration is against us. We think that there are certain enemies that we have, but we have to take accountability for our own life and our own health, and this is an attempt to do that. I'm going to ask you guys to help me on some of the diagrams as we go forward, but Simon, would show the first slide, please? And make it big. So we're going to talk about something called metabolism. And metabolism is the sum of all chemical reactions that keeps the body alive and allows the body to, one, produce energy, to build and repair tissues, to maintain internal balance, and allows us to turn food into energy, build tissues, and remove waste. Next slide. So there are two sides of metabolism. One is catabolism, which is a breakdown of food and tissues to release energy. And that's in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is a currency of energy. The other side is anabolism, which is the building and repairing of cells, tissues, and energy stores. Next slide. So there's something called basal metabolism. Maybe Dr. Neighbor Stevens, you start with this one?
Absolutely. Basal metabolic rate, or BMR, is the energy your body uses at rest. It supports breathing, circulation, brain activity, and temperature control. It accounts for 60 to 70% of daily energy use.
And that's a very important statement. Keep that in mind. 60 to 70% of what energy you use every day is just basal metabolism without moving one muscle at all. Next slide. So Dr. Walks, can you take this one?
Absolutely. The total daily energy expenditure, or the TDEE, is equal to the BMR plus physical activity and digestion, or the thermic effect of food. So exercise and daily movement significantly raise total energy needs.
So we're going to get to some of the explanation of why we have to move and why we should eat more than one meal a day, even though you're trying to lose weight. It's very important to keep these figures in mind. We can go fairly slow. Next slide. Dr. Hines?
The thermic effect of food, or TEF, that is the energy that your body uses to digest, absorb, and process food. And it's about 10% of your daily calories are used just for digestion.
Next slide.
Why TEF matters. So it supports the metabolism, it helps with weight control, and it preserves muscle with aging.
And I figure most people in here are over 25 like I am. So that's important about being able to preserve your muscle because we lose more when we get older. Next slide. Of course, Dr. Hines is only 18. All right. So, Dr. Barbara?
Total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE. So for the basal metabolic rate, or that BMR that we started off with, that's about 65% contribution to the amount of energy that you use up. Exercise accounts for about 15%, daily movement about 10%, as well as digestion of your food.
So that's extremely important what she's showing to keep the, but might have to go back and review some of these, get them in context. Next slide. So calories, they get burned during digestion by food type. So in the first panel, if you eat protein, you burn about 25 calories, in 25 calories. For carbohydrates, about 7 to 8. But for fat, when you digest it, you almost burn almost no calories, maybe 1 or 2. So if you want to burn calories, you need to eat what? Protein, and less than that, you need to eat carbohydrates, but fat burns no calories. So take this slide, if you would, Dr. Walks.
What this means for your plate. Oh, we did that one. Okay. Same calories, different burn. Okay. Calories burned digesting a 600 calorie meal. So if it's a high protein meal, we're going to burn about 150 calories. And if it's a high fat meal, you're going to burn about 20 calories.
So that's telling you a lot right there. That's
There
telling
it
you,
is.
yeah, next slide. Dr. Hines.
Organ system metabolism. So your liver is responsible for glucose regulation as well as detoxification.
Are you muted?
I think we may have a connection problem with Dr. Hines. We're
Okay.
we're both in Maryland where we're having a wonderful snow and ice event.
Oh, yes, I heard.
Yes.
So muscle affects glucose and fat use. Fat tissue deals with energy storage and hormone signaling. The kidneys deal with waste removal and acid-base balance. Next slide. Is Dr. Lawson on?
I have not seen Dr. Lawson, but I can't tell with the slides up.
All right. Let's go back to Dr. Neighbor-Stevens.
What is metabolic health? Normal blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, and waist size. Good energy levels and physical function. Low levels of inflammation.
So, Barbara, what this means, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, that if you have normal metabolic health, you have normal waist size, you have normal blood pressure, and you're not feeling fatigued all the time. Is that what this is implying?
I
Yes,
I was pondering the last thing you said, but from what you described, that is the state in which you want to try to maintain yourself.
right. It's
And
because,
and Dr. Lawson texted that he is on. He needs to be able to unmute.
okay. Simon, make sure Dr. Lawson can unmute because there's some slides I want him to comment on as they come forward. Okay. Barbara, take this one again, since it's just the opposite.
Signs of poor metabolism: weight gain, fatigue, high blood sugar, high blood pressure or high cholesterol levels, a fatty liver, and insulin resistance.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Dr. Wall, can you do this one?
Okay. Organ contributions to metabolism. Kidneys. Contribution to the relative metabolic rate would be 10. Brain, 15. fat tissue 20, muscle 30, and then the liver all by itself is 25.
So keep in mind how important that muscle is. That is very important. Next slide. Dr. Hines?
I don't
Is she
think we
still
have
muted?
Dr. Hines back yet.
Okay.
Oh,
But what this one says, there's some recent studies, and I was very intrigued by this study I read. It shows that when you eat and you have a higher post-meal glucose, that's called postprandial elevation, it can be linked to higher Alzheimer's risk just for having a spike, abnormal spike after you eat. So genetic studies support the possible causal relationship with this and Alzheimer's. It's not reversible. It also risks repeated uh, uh, risks are reported without even having diabetes, just a high blood sugar after you eat. And saying that 69% of people with those spikes have a higher risk of Alzheimer's. That's ridiculous. And you don't have to have diabetes or pre-diabetes for that to happen. That's why they suggest that you walk 10 to 20 minutes after a meal and you don't eat the kind of food that's going to spike your blood sugar. Next slide. That 69% was on my mind. So post-meal glucose spikes and Alzheimer's. A rapid rise in blood sugar after eating is common after meals that are high in refined carbohydrates or sugars. It can occur even when fasting glucose or A1C looks normal. It's the best measured by a continuous glucose monitoring system or CGM. So that's why those things are very important, even though there have been some problems with them in recent months because of that. Next slide. Uh, is Dr. Lawson on yet?
we don't have Dr. William Lawson on. Dr. Hines is back though. They fighting the technology through the ice and the snow.
Hey, Dr. Hines, you want to take this one?
And it's Yolanda Lawson on Dr. Maxie, not Bill.
Oh, hello, Dr. Lawson. How are you?
I'm well, thank you all.
Where's my glass of wine? Uh,
I don't know if Dr.
Dr.
Hines is
Walks,
able to unmute.
we got a few brain slides here, Dr. Walks. Why don't you take them?
All right, I'll take the brain slides. Okay. The brain cares about glucose control. The brain depends on stable glucose delivery. Large swings stress brain cells and blood vessels. Chronic spikes may impair memory and thinking over time.
That's interesting. Next slide.
Next. How glucose spikes may harm the brain. Brain insulin resistance can lead to reduced neuronal signaling, oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, damage to small blood vessels and the blood-brain barrier, and association with tau protein accumulation. None of those sound good, Dr. Maxey.
No, they're not.
Next slide.
Yes.
A new view of Alzheimer's disease, not only a memory disorder. There are strong links to metabolic and vascular health, sometimes described as type 3 diabetes as a conceptual model.
Interesting. Next slide. You go ahead, Dr. Walks.
Okay. Who may be at higher risk? People with insulin resistance or prediabetes, folks who already have type 2 diabetes, folks with obesity or metabolic syndrome, hypertension, vascular disease, or chronic kidney disease, older adults with sedentary lifestyles.
Yeah, it's scary. Next slide. So is Dr. Hines back on?
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
So A1C alone is not the whole story. So A1C just shows your average glucose. It doesn't tell you anything about the daily swing. So it's your average across 3 months. And so two people with the same A1C can have very different spikes in glucose patterns. That glycemic variability may better predict brain risk than just the A1C alone.
Next slide. So how to reduce postprandial or post-meal glucose spikes. Prioritizing protein, fiber, and healthy fats at meals when you eat. Limit refined sugars and ultra-processed carbohydrates is very important. Walk 10 to 20 minutes after meals. Incorporate resistance and aerobic exercise. It's not the cardio that helps, but it's the resistance that is important because that is what builds muscle mass. Next slide. Dr. Barber?
Medical tools that may help. This is an individualized, though, process. Metformin, GLP-1 receptor agonists, SGL2, T2 inhibitors. These may impact short-term CGM use to identify trigger foods. Always tailor therapy to age, kidney function, and hypoglycemia risk.
So I've been doing some consulting on chronic disease management patients in Puerto Rico. And in the stratification of how to treat them, there's a choice. You can add metformin, you can add the GLP-1 receptors, which is what's the name of the one we use all the time?
Ozempic,
Ozempic, that's the Ozempic. And the SGLT2, which is the Forxiga. And because of cost, they hold back on those drugs. And I'm saying that if we don't have a cost problem, we should prescribe our patients with those medications because they can stop a lot of things from happening, not only mentally, but cardiovascular wise. It's very important. Next slide.
Dr. Maxey, could I ask you a question on that point?
Yes.
I thought I read recently that metformin is no longer considered the drug of choice as the first line treatment of type 2 diabetes. Did I dream that?
No, I think you read it. I've stopped giving metformin myself, even though I thought it was still recommended. But I find that you can keep that blood sugar lower with the Ozempic and with the SGLT2 drugs as well. What do you think, Dr. Hines?
So I will there's an article in the American Academy of Family Medicine journal on that space. And I can put a link to it in the chat. I think that there's definitely a change coming. I'm from a personal practice standard, I'm a later doctor, right? But that discussion that I've seen that type of discussion in the literature as well. So I will put a link in the chat.
Okay, very good. So prevention focus, we want to flatten that curve out. So protein plus fiber first at meals. So it's saying when you eat your food, it's saying you should eat the protein part and the fiber part first in your meal. So eat your meat first, not your potatoes. So post-meal walking should happen 10 to 20 minutes after walking. And do resistance training that improves your glucose disposal because that builds up muscle mass. And that's very important. And there are targeted medications when it's appropriate you should use. Next slide.
So Dr. Maxey, before you leave that slide,
Go back.
So so the normal behavior that we feel like doing after a satisfying meal, which is putting our feet up and sitting back and watching the game, which I might be doing later on this afternoon, that's bad for me. I need to get up and walk for 10 to 20 minutes and then come back and watch the game.
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I'll go and play the game.
No, Dr. Maxey. Those are large young people. I'm not going to play the game.
Next slide. Dr. Barber?
Stable versus spiking postprandial glucose levels. The red line is the line representing glucose spikes, and the blue line is representing stable glucose levels. So at 30 minutes, we have a spike of about a little over 100 compared to the glucose spike. I'm sorry. The glucose spike is lower at 30 minutes. The stable glucose, what are the units on this? That's what's confusing me. You have a stable glucose that runs between 100 and 100 and over 120 minutes stays relatively stable.
Yeah.
The message is the glucose spike, which occurs around 60 minutes after a meal, is way up there at over 200 and not where we want it to be.
In other words, if you eat the way that we're suggesting, that they shouldn't have a spike at all. It should just be a brief raise that's made to the shape of the curve. Good call. Next slide.
So Dr. Maxey, Dr. Yolanda Lawson added something to the chat. Your co-moderator, Dr. William Lawson, is on now. We have an embarrassment of Lawsons. That's a great thing.
Okay. What did Dr. Lawson want to say? I'd like to hear from her. What did she put in the chat?
She's
She said that
unmuted now.
it is metformin is still considered a first-line therapy, but if coexisting comorbidities such as CHF, for example, then it is not. And that's essentially what this article that I'm trying to put in there to add to the chat says. It is still included in the first-line medication regimens, but then there are additional things that can be done, concurrently or as alternative based on different patient goals and patient comorbidities.
Excellent.
And
So-
Dr.
so-
Maxey,
That's William Lawson unmuted?
yeah. And I want to add to that, as one who's used Maldura, went out there and picked a pen and said, it's $900. Whoops. Oh, well, I'll pay the 900. But then they said, we don't have any in the DC area. So whoops.
Don't have any what?
Don't have any Monjuro or any of the other GLTPs in the DC area this week, and found as an ongoing issue. So the issue of whether or not metformin should be first line, second line, for many people in our communities who have limited income, limited resources, and limited travel, getting some of these newer treatments is not the easiest thing in the world. In fact, it's almost impossible in certain communities. Not even talking about, I'm talking about urban communities. In our rural communities, it literally is a non-starter.
So let me, if I may, Dr. Maxey, let me go back several slides, 5, 6, 7 slides, when the word individualized was put on a slide. When we say what's first line, it depends on what's first line for you, because there are people consistent with what Dr. Yolanda Lawson put in the chat and what Dr. Jocelyn Hines put in. First line for one person is not first line for someone else. And it's not one medication. Some folks are taking metformin combined with an SGLT2. So it really is important that we remind folks that here on Black Health Trust, we are not advising you what medication you should take. We are talking with you about the importance of knowing that there are multiple medications and that you should have your doctor or your practitioner work with you on what's best for you. And Dr. Lisa Kervin-Dawes has her hand up, Dr. Maxey.
Dr. Lisa Kervin-Dawes, speak.
We got to get her unmuted, sir.
Maybe it's snowing in Jamaica now.
It is not snowing in Jamaica. I wish I was there.
Dr. Dawes, can we get her unmuted, Simon?
So while we're waiting for that, Dr. Maxey, I'll take this slide, the relative cognitive risk by metabolic status. So your cognitive risk is on this scale at a 1, which I'm guessing is a normal rate of risk. If you have prediabetes, now you're at 1.4. And if you actually have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, your cognitive risk is now at a 1.8. So again, another reason for us to look at maintaining good metabolic status. Dr. Dawes is unmuted.
Dr. Dawes, go ahead.
Uh, uh, in Jamaica, we actually do have the SGL2. We still use metformin first line. We do a lot of mix with metformin and other categories so that people can use the metformin without having side effects. One thing I wanted to talk about, when you put people on the SGL2, you have to talk about the increase in urinating. Because if you don't, I find a lot of them will stop it before giving it a chance. Both men and women, especially if the women are postmenopausal, and most of the older men because of their prostates. So it's something that you have to talk them through and tell them that, it's excellent, you start low. In terms of pricing here, it's a little more, it is expensive in terms of metformin, but not as expensive in the States. So it's still affordable. But one of the things holding them back, I think, it is the side effect of the polyuria, which is part of how it works. But even if people's sugar are not that bad, they're getting a fair amount of it.
Excellent point. But also I want to bring up that not only is it helping with your diabetes if you have diabetes and urine, but it's also lowering your cardiovascular and cardiorenal risk as well. Let's go to the next slide. Dr. Hines.
So ways to improve your metabolism. So balanced nutrition. Be careful with your sugar intake. Regular physical activity and especially strength training. Adequate sleep and stress control, and managing your chronic medical conditions early are all important factors.
And then that point you made about physical activity, special strength, I want to bring that to, because I've been making a mistake. I've been trying to walk every day and have cardio activity, but I neglected that I need to be in the gym or using weights to build my muscle up, because muscle is what keeps that blood sugar from spiking so much. Let's go to the next slide.
So before you move on from there, could I just say, just on that point, I think that sometimes, and I don't think that this is what you were saying specifically, I just wanted to clarify, sometimes people think that there's the exercise they should be doing, right? Like, especially, is there a specific thing? Because there are plenty of benefits to walking as well. So it's not saying don't walk, right? Because walking and the ability to walk has a whole lot of longevity and impacts on, morbidity and stuff like that. It's the same thing with like,
you want to mix it up.
Yeah, it's exactly. And then also recognizing that you don't need equipment for strength training, because that's the other thing that tends to happen. People go, "Oh, I don't have weights, I don't have a gym." You can use your own body weight for strength training, and then exercise bands are really popular now too. So just, it doesn't have to be as complicated as sometimes we make it.
Okay,
And
good.
I just also want to make a point. When I turned 80, went over to my church, the first thing a guy did was try to push me into a wheelchair. The mortality rate after one starts sitting regularly in a wheelchair is really high. Whatever your age, you can walk, trot, whatever, as long as you keep moving. Demanding that people, when they get age, get in a wheelchair or get into bed so they can rest is not, in the long run, good health for them and good for survival skill.
Amen.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Dr. Barber? Is Dr. Neighbors even on?
He's on mute.
Okay.
I don't even know how that happened. Why muscle matters after the age of 50? It helps to prevent falls, it improves blood sugar control, supports heart health, and maintains independence.
That's just what Dr. Lawson was just speaking about. Next slide. Dr.
Why,
Barber, you take this one.
yeah, why protein matters more after the age of 50? Relative benefit score of muscle preservation is all the way up at 90, again, emphasizing the need to maintain and increase muscle mass. Blood sugar control has a relative benefit of 75, and metabolic support has a relative benefit score of 80.
Let's go to the next slide. Take this, Barbara.
Protein needs increase with age. Younger adults need 0.8 units of protein as opposed to those 50 and above that need 1.4.
So Dr. Hines needs 0.8 and Dr. Walks needs what?
I need 4.1 at my age.
Next slide. So want to do this one, Dr. Hines?
Sure. So estimating protein portions. So a palm-sized amount of meat or fish is about 20 to 25 grams of protein. And one egg is about 6 grams of protein. A half a cup of Greek yogurt is 10 grams of protein. And you want to shoot for one palm-sized amount of protein per meal. And I would also just like to add too, there's a big protein push going on. If you eat the protein that you need, protein shakes and protein supplements are not necessarily required.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm going to say as a nephrologist, if you have CKD, we know that protein is nephrotoxic to a degree. So you want to, even though the slide is saying eat protein, you do want to do it. You need to make sure it's regulated. And there's a certain caloric amount you need to talk with the dietitian or nutritionist. And I usually prescribe that accordingly. So you can't just do it willy-nilly because it's protein. That has its bad points too. Next slide. Okay, who's next? Simon, if you hover over this, it'll give you proportions that goes with each color. Can you hover your pointer over each one? And maybe Dr. Hines can continue with that. But hover it over.
So you want to get a mix of weekly exercise when you're over 50. Oh, okay.
If you go back, yeah. But Simon, you have to hover your pointer over each color.
Simon is hovering away, but
Okay.
nothing's popping up.
Okay, we'll
So
skip
even
that.
without the words, it pretty much is probably going to break down to something similar to what we were talking about before, right? So cardiovascular is going to be important, strength training, but flexibility, right? Those things are all going to be important in putting variety into your workout.
If I had to add one,
Flexibility is
Dr.
another.
Hines, if I had to add one to the three you mentioned, so we have all four, I would
Yes,
add
thank you.
balance.
There you go.
Especially as we get older, maintaining good balance, and then we're going to cheat a little bit and add flexibility.
Okay.
Great.
Excellent. Okay, who's next? Dr. Lawson?
Yeah, just want to note simple muscle building meals, salmon, vegetables, olive oil, chicken, beans, rice bowl, yogurt, fruit, and nuts. And again, the point is that you don't have to eat. My wife doesn't eat beef, but a lot of people go on veggie. The point is, you still can get good muscle building meals without eating a huge 8-ounce steak. I don't see bison over there for some reason, but we'll exclude that.
Okay, I went to how to spell bison. So next slide. Let's go past this one. Okay, Dr. Barbara.
Metabolic health versus disease. Healthy metabolism. You want to maintain a normal glucose, blood pressure, and cholesterol level. You want to have a stable energy level. Metabolic disease is you will find problems with diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and fatty liver.
Let's go to the next slide.
Progression of metabolic dysfunction. The relative risk is low when you're healthy and shoots up to the sky when you have full-blown diabetes, with a steady ascent as you go through the progression of the development of type 2 diabetes with insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, and diabetes, the endpoint.
Excellent. Next slide.
Improving metabolism. You want to do strength and aerobic activities. You want to do whole food nutrition. You want to make sure you get adequate sleep and control your stress and obtain early medical intervention.
So Dr. Walks and Dr. Lawson, how do you control the stress part?
You want to take that? Well, I'll just go ahead and very simple. Part of it is doing regular exercise. Very important part in terms of maintaining your mood as well as maintaining a healthy, balanced lifestyle. The other one is that I used to send a lot of folks to psychotherapists. I'm sending a lot of folks now to folks who can help them to manage their lives, managing your life in a way that is not simply just achievement oriented or trying to do as much as you can in a short period of time. But just like we do interval exercise, we need to do interval management of the activities in our life as well. And then a very important part is maintaining optimism. Too often, I've just listened to our minister today was looking at all the problems in the world, all the stresses that's happening. But his point was, and the point that a lot of us are realizing, is that good mental health isn't just avoiding pessimism and depression. It's also being optimistic in terms of the worldview. The glass that's half empty is not as important as that glass that you're going to try to make as half full. So part of life is developing an optimistic appraisal of who you are, where you are, and what you're capable of.
Yeah. Dr. Walks, one of the things I read that causes the most stress is financial stress. And I know that you go to church and one of the Christian things is count all joy. Can you just talk a minute about the stress and finance and the perspective of counting things joy?
Absolutely, Dr. Maxey. I think Dr. Lisa was going to say something, then I will come back and answer your question.
Okay.
No, it's fine. You finish up. I was gonna comment, but I'll wait till at the end because you may be adding it. Go ahead.
All right. To your point, Dr. Maxey, everything that Dr. Lawson said, as always, I endorse. In addition to that, there is something about people who have a faith life that makes a lot of this make more sense for them. There are, and I have patients I see that are Christians, that are Jewish, that are Muslim. It doesn't really matter. It's the people that don't believe in anything, that feel that they are in the world by themselves, that have the most difficult time. I have found in my years of doctoring, I have found that those are the folks that have a tough time. When you sit on that second row or the first row in church, Dr. Maxey, you hear about something that is the peace that passes all understanding. There is something about being able to be at peace in the middle of the storm. There are all of these kinds of things that people actually can practice. You can practice that when you are in church, when you are in Bible study, when you're doing your devotional, when you are whatever it is you're doing that allows you to embrace that supernatural peace can absolutely help with stress. And sometimes we have one bullet here that has sleep and stress control. I promise you, good luck with trying to do stress control if you're too worried to get to sleep. So there's something about how important it is to be able to calm yourself enough to get to sleep. And what Dr. Lawson was talking about with someone that can help you with organizing, structuring your life. We were talking about in church today, we were talking about not letting your schedule control you, but you controlling your schedule. There are all of these kinds of things that relate back to one thing. They relate back to you being able to embrace a posture of peace in your life. Let the world do what the world do, because you ain't in charge of the whole world. But you can look at it in a way that allows you to be at a level of peace that passes the understanding of all the people around. I don't understand how Dr. Lawson can be so calm. That just happened. That just happened. Hey, Dr. Lawson is calling on something that you need to find out about. Dr. Lawson is calling on that inner peace and that level of surrender. I ain't gonna let the world bother me. I am gonna be in charge of me. So I'm
Excellent.
sorry. I'm a little bit wordy sometimes. Well, all the time. Is that what you said, Dr. Maxey? All the time?
SOME. Next
Let me
slide.
just add on one point to link it up to the previous points. I used to do research trying to make a simple question. Why do we, what determines what we eat and how we eat? And there was a real huge debate going on. Do we eat for nutrition or do we eat because the food tastes good? And the fact of the matter is that we don't have a receptor or a mechanism that detects nutritional healthiness. All we
Right.
had is our sensory system, our taste, our smell, and that's what determines it. All this other stuff is very nice, but we just don't have a way to signal that. And
There's,
what that means is that even for mood, depression, and everything else, what folks do is they may try to deal with stress by, as they say, chewing down and also by the number of the terms we use in our community in terms of eating for to feel good or to use drugs of abuse or
there's
to
a
go
couple of
out and get
slides coming
high.
up. There's a couple of slides coming up. I'm going to have you comment on it because we're going to be speaking to that. Something called the microbiome. Next slide. So heart diabetes and kidney friendly tips. One, choose lean proteins. Avoid ultra processed foods. We've heard that a million times. And spread proteins throughout the day. Next slide. So some key take home messages. Not all calories act the same. Protein does help burn more calories naturally. And small daily choices do matter. Next slide, Dr. Barber.
Some more key takeaways. Metabolism is not just about weight. It reflects overall health, energy balance, and disease risk. And small daily habits strongly influence metabolic health.
Is that the last slide? Yeah. So the slide I wanted Dr. Lawson to comment on, there's a study that looked at like something like 25,000 people. And they found that there were like over 400,000 different chemical reactions. And they found that about half of those chemical reactions that were determined by genetics tended to affect whether or not you got diabetes or abnormal metabolism. So there seems to be the fact that this is supported that there are certain genetics that can determine if you're going to be a diabetic and also the food choices you make in diabetes. I didn't bring that out adequately, but that is exactly what Dr. Lawson is speaking about. That as we get deeper and deeper into the metabolomic, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Metabolic.
Metabolomics,
Yeah, that's right.
metabolomics, that there may be some genetic figures and chemical figures that help you make those choices. Let's ask if we have any comments. I know Dr. Dawes wanted to make a comment before. Dr. Dawes?
We need to get Dr. Dawes unmuted.
Yes, I wanted to also bring up the fact of creatine, especially with older people,
Yes.
has been shown to have actually help with our metabolic rate and helps with increasing and maintaining our muscle mass. So I do think it helps. I've started adding it to quite a few of my older patients. The NIH actually did a study on it, so it's no longer just talked about with the athletes, but it's something that we need to consider with our older.
Do you take it as a supplement?
Yes.
And how do you buy it, and how much do you take?
Usually I take gummies. I'd have to go look up exactly. I calculated it when I can look it up on the NIH site, what they recommended.
Mm-hmm.
And get back to you. But it's about creatine monohydrate, about 5,000 milligrams a day.
Excellent. Excellent. Any comments or questions in the chat, Dr. Barbara Neighbor-Stevens?
There was a question about the use of cerassi tea, known as bitter melon, and other herbs. If anyone can comment on that. They were wondering if Dr. Dawes was using it in Jamaica.
Well, cerassi tea or bitter melon, they use as antioxidants. You should not take a lot of it because there are known side effects. What most Jamaicans know not to. We use fenugreek. We also check for that one because fenugreek can lower your sugar. So especially if somebody is tightly controlled and they decide to get healthy herbally, you sometimes get some hypoglycemia. We use noni, and I can't believe I'm blanking on that plant. It's the only plant that has all the amino acids. You guys know the name of it.
But I tell you what, it's been about 5 years since you gave your talk on complementary medicine. I'm going to count on you doing that shortly.
Oh, okay. Because there are more of them that we have started adding.
So we'd like to hear from you again. So I'm going to be calling you to get a date from you.
All right, we'll see. But it'll be my pleasure. Walks. Where's Dr. Walks? Walks, what's that plant we all use in Jamaica that we make all the Rastafarians eat? Because it has all the amino acids. And I have the plant. I even have a picture of it ground up here, and I can't think of the name. Anyway.
I can't think of it right now either. I'm sorry.
But you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'll send
I do. I probably use it a whole bunch of times.
All right, I'll look it up.
Moringa? Someone is
Yes, moringa. That's it.
Okay.
A lot of moringa as well, especially as it has all the amino acids plus a lot of anti-inflammatory components to it. And it's cheap and it grows very quickly. One of the things where meats and fish have gotten more expensive, we have started using a lot more moringa.
Excellent. Anything else in the discussion in the chat, Dr. David Stevens?
I think we covered it.
Okay, we're almost at the top of the hour. Let's have some
Oh,
final.
can I say one more thing, Dr. Maxey?
Yes.
Remind people, like we talked about the magnesium glycinate, but supposedly for your metabolic rate and your sleep, if you combine it at night with vitamin D3 and K2, it's actually much better for actually your muscles as well as sleep, as well as anti-inflammation.
Excellent, excellent. I'm going to be a little bit abnormal as we get ready to make our final comments. I'm going to invite my friend, the former past president of the NMA, is Dr. Yolanda Lawson still on to make final comments?
She is still on. We need to get her
Unmuted.
unmuted.
Dr. Yolanda, I still remember seeing a whole bunch of ladies walking in the room with a bunch of parasols, and I had so much gumbo, it was coming out my ears. I'm so very proud of you, and she always looked after me when I'm at a meeting. Dr. Lawson.
Well, thank you, Dr. Maxey. Thank you so much. And great talk today. I was and I didn't know you guys had I love the interaction, but some great comments were made. And being a women's health provider, um, this is every patient almost every day, no matter what, right? These kinds of challenges, whether it's metabolism and all that. So I really am thankful that you all broke this down like you did today, because it's much more complicated. There's a lot of, I guess I should say, messaging. As we all know, we're subjected to it, as are our patients. And so better that we're all equipped to help support them with appropriate counseling, the better. So thank you for the talk. So I'm certain there's more to come. This is such an explosive effort. We're just leaving DC for the Cobb Institute, and it was supported in part by the American Diabetes Association. So they talked about, in relationship to this today, some of the I guess I should say, recommendations they're putting forth around obesity. And so one of the things is, as some of you may know, the GLP-1s just got approved for age 10 and above. So before, remember, it was 12, and now they've dropped the age indication for GLP-1. So that was something new that I just learned this weekend and wanted to share that. But again, thank you all.
And I noticed that in Chocolate City, they don't have them on the shelves. What's wrong with that? In DC, Dr. Lawson said they're out of all these medicines. Let's go with Dr.
Demand.
Dr. Lawson, final comments?
Yes, very quickly. Also, those of you, make sure that your patients get the your GAS, or your other mood measuring devices. There are a number of them. The point is that lousy nutrition is associated with lousy mood as well as a risk for dementia. If you want happy people, eat healthy foods. Also, genetically, we were developed in an environment in which carbohydrates are scarce, which is why there's so much of intolerance now that we have plenty of it. So we're designed for desert, arid areas where there is no carbohydrate. Now we're overloaded with less. Recognize that our foods are now over-designed to be able to take advantage of our intolerance to carbohydrates.
Thank you so much. Dr. Hines.
The comments that came already with regard to the importance of this talk, right? Because there's so many things being said in the nutritional spaces, but one of the things I'll just focus on is just that space about exercise and making sure that you get in a variety of different types of exercise while you because the same thing is going to be true for your nutrition as well. There isn't going to be a magic bullet one shot answer for everybody, so you have to find the targeted things that meet your needs.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. Dr. Walks.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Maxey. I want to comment on the fact that Dr. Maxey is probably one of the best educated people on the planet. MD, PhD, BFD, all whatever kind of initials you can talk about. And Dr. Maxey has retained the ability to break things down simply and to be able to explain things in a way that folks can understand. And I just want to point that out for all of the physicians and practitioners that don't get so smart that you can't talk to regular people. Our patients are regular people, and we need to be able to break things down in a way that is useful for them. So I just want to once again thank you, Dr. Maxey. Your leadership in communication really makes a huge difference.
Thank you, Dr. Walks. Dr. Barbara Neighbor-Stevens.
Dr. Maxey, thank you. One point I want to make, I was thinking about as we were talking about the need for protein in those 50 and over. Aside from the whole economic issues around being able to afford um, good protein sources, um, don't forget, first of all, that it doesn't have to be meat, that the beans group
Yeah.
does give us access to good, healthy protein. But the other point, I want to kind of go back to maybe a month ago, I guess it was, when we had our dentist friend on. Um, in people who have not had the opportunity to maintain good oral health and find themselves with problematic dentition, sometimes that poses a problem in eating appropriately. So it's really the totality of our lives that is all intertwined in trying to achieve the things that we've been talking about today. And I just wanted to recognize the fact that dentition, especially in um, the elderly, can provide can provide an obstacle to chewing and interfere with healthy eating.
Well, thank you very much. One of the things that my daughter brought to my attention a few weeks ago is that a good source of protein, especially that Hispanic people use, is beans and rice. And that may solve part of the problems of chewing if you cook those beans good and some good soft brown rice. It's pretty good too. I thank everybody for their participation today. And one of the lessons I learned in church today is obedience to what you know is good for you. It's not always the devil that's causing you bad health. It may be the choices that you make not to treat your metabolism correctly. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Simon. Enjoy your Sunday. What team's going to win, Simon?
Good day, everyone.
Good day.
Bye.